Al Not-So-Sharpton, he's at it again. I must tell you, I do not understand why conservatives or center-right hosts and commentators put this guy on their programs. He is a louse. He is a hater. He is a race baiter. And he's despicable in many ways that I've talked about over and over and over again, and most of which you know. Well, he has his own radio show, believe it or not. And he had somebody on by the name of Dr. Boyce Watson, a self-proclaimed social commentator. And so here is Watson and here is Sharpton today talking about the Supreme Court, and in particular talking about Justice Clarence Thomas. Now, Justice Clarence Thomas is one of the sharpest, clearest thinkers on this court. And this court has, on the originalist side, incredibly intelligent men. John Roberts, Sam Alito, Antonin Scalia. These are three incredibly smart people. And more than that, competent people. Who every day try to apply the Constitution to the case before them, unlike the status activists. Now, I doubt that Al Sharpton has ever read one of Clarence Thomas's decisions because he's a moron. He's borderline illiterate. Hey, Al, I said you're borderline illiterate. You ever read any Aristotle or Plato or Burke or Smith or Friedman or Hayek or Mises? You don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, do you, Al? You big slob. And that's what you are, I said it. And you've never read any of Clarence Thomas's decisions, I don't think, because you're a jerk. You're a rabble-rouser. You pose as some kind of civil rights leader, but you don't lead anybody. You never have. Now, Clarence Thomas, on the other hand, he's an honorable man. He's taken an awful lot of flack from the statist left, the phonies like Sharpton and Jesse Jerkson, as my buddy Bob Grant used to call Jackson. Maybe he still does. But Al Not-So-Sharpton and Jesse Jerkson, I wonder if either of them have ever read any of Clarence Thomas's opinions, which are brilliant opinions, whether in the majority or dissent, or whether concurring and dissenting in part, or whatever. Now, Dr. Boyce Watson, another nobody, a social commentator, if you please, and Al Sharpton, who has a radio show that nobody listens to. Here's a little bit of their back and forth. Cut one, go.
In my opinion, there is not a black man on the Supreme Court, but, hey, I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying that. But
no, it's a couple of callers have said.
We need a black person on the Supreme Court. Why not a black woman?
A lot of us would like to see blacks, but a lot of us also are reminded that we got a black from George Bush Sr. named Clarence Thomas. And a lot of us would rather not have I'd rather have someone else who would vote, in my opinion, in line with upholding human rights and civil rights and women's rights and prisoner rights than to have someone like Mr. Thomas or Justice Thomas, who I think has consistently voted against all of that and has been one of the most inflexible members of the white right voting bloc in terms of not only the court, but in terms of his own public expression.
The white right voting bloc. See, this is the dehumanizing of individuals. Sharpton says that, you heard him, Thomas doesn't stand for human rights and civil rights and women's rights and prisoners' rights. Thomas stands for the Constitution, and he also embraces the Declaration of Independence. Unalienable rights. I wonder when the last time Sharpton read, when that was. He read the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. See, there's one person Sharpton could not debate, and that's me, because he's an idiot.